size decision. Brian Daboll fired after his team blew another double-digit lead Sunday. Assistant head coach and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will serve as the Giants' interim coach. Joe Schoen will remain as general manager and lead the search for the next head coach. The 2-8 Giants are 11-33 going back to the start of the 2023 season, but they obviously have some reason for hope in the form of their young, dynamic quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Currently has a concussion in Jaxson Dart. Take us through the day yesterday, Dan. What led to this? How'd this happen?
Look, I mean, they blow another double-digit lead. Right. This is the fourth time this year. Second time they've blown a double-digit lead in the final 4 minutes of regulation and lost the game. Look, 11-33. He's had a rough year on the sideline. Daboll, the organization got fined because of the whole concussion evaluation issue a couple of weeks ago. Dart gets hurt in this game. I just feel like it was a lot that was building toward the Giants just saying, this isn't good enough. We have to make a change. And I also think on some level, they do want to, once they've decided to move on from Daboll, they do want to get a look at Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka's been the legit head coaching candidate the past couple cycles, so maybe he gets an audition now. He deserves some credit for Dart and his quick development. So they'll take a look. But I think they just felt like they weren't going to get where they wanted to get with Daboll.
All right, so that's what they did. And is yet another example, if I may one more time say this, of an organizational failure. The Giants do this over and over again, and they're not the only team, but they seem never to learn from their own mistakes. You cannot have a lame duck coach and a rookie quarterback. You have to marry up those timelines. So Brian Daboll is allowing Jaxson Dart, a young player who quite literally wants to run with his head first into everything. I mean, and that is a literal thing, and you have to stop him from doing it. But when you are desperately trying to win every game you can to save your own job, you're not inclined to do it. That's not Brian Daboll's fault. Preservation is the number one motivator in anything, professionally and otherwise. So I don't fault Daboll for doing what he did, and I believe that it was the right decision to move on from him. So where do we go from here, Domonique?
Well, I mean, I just want to point out that they're keeping Joe Schoen, the general manager, who's going to help with the next hire. Like, I don't know what happens in all these situations, but there's fair criticism of him, too. The roster is constructed. He's never quite put together an offensive line, which might also contribute to protecting the quarterback. The defense, they put a lot of draft picks and money into that D-line. The defense has not been effective. I'm not sure what their plan is, but I could imagine that the rift between the two of them is probably pretty big, because I would think they came in together. Like, we are in this together. We're going to fix this. And that would probably rub me the wrong way if I were Brian Daboll.
I get it. Here's the only thing. If I'm the owner of that team, I'm looking at it and I'm saying we have better players than we are playing.
Right.
And Joe Schoen is in charge of the players, and Brian Daboll is in charge of the playing. So I don't blame him for viewing it that way. Again, I would rather see everyone married up together, but now Schoen will pick the coach. So in theory, those guys will be married up.
They came in together. They were, right? So obviously something fell apart there. But you're right. They contrast that with Miami a couple weeks ago. They fired the GM, keep the coach. Miami's saying, we don't like the way this team is built. We need to do things differently on that end. Giants are saying we do like the way this team is built. We need to coach better.
And can I also say, when it comes to like the firing of the head coach, last year, we looked at Caleb Williams, and he was the first overall pick, and he was absolutely struggling for the Chicago Bears. You had so many different questions. You look at Cam Ward this year. They fired Brian Callahan. Cam Ward's not playing well, turning the ball over. I think the difference in this situation is I'm not going to argue for Brian Daboll. Production is production, wins and losses. But at the same time, you look at the way Jaxson Dart is playing, and Mike Kafka gets credit for that as well, the offensive coordinator. You could question the fact that you actually drafted the quarterback that Brian Daboll chose. He is out there playing football. He is playing at a high level. Yes, is he running too much? Is he taking too many hits? Some of that falls on Dart to get down. So to me, that's the question is you're hoping your next guy is able to communicate and be able to bring the best out of your draft pick in Jaxson Dart.
Yeah, I tend to go with J-Mac here. I just think it's kind of early. And again, you want to see the new guy. You want to see how he does as head coach. That's all well and fine. But you lose neighbors. Scadaboo goes down. So the energy that you had from your offense, you're starting Dart. Again, your offensive line is getting better. They're playing a little bit better. And this is no different than what the conversation Vrabel has with Drake May. This is a lot of Jaden Daniels, a lot of conversations from head coach to quarterback need protect yourself. Jaxson Dart has not done a good job of that, but I don't think that all falls. I think they should be together, combined.
How many games did we expect the Giants to win this season?
Exactly.
But the point is, how many of the games they played in should they have won?
Right, there's
That's a
four
different question.
double-digit leads.
You lose a
Yeah.
19-0 lead in the fourth quarter against Denver, or whatever that was.
Right.
Here's my next thought. You've got Malik Neighbors, you've got Jaxson Dart, you've got Abdul Carter, and a bunch of other good players.
Yeah.
That's going to be the most desirable
No doubt.
job for coaches out there, and I'm just going to throw a name into the conversation. Mike Tomlin. If Mike Tomlin and the Steelers at the end of the season decided it's time for an amicable parting, that feels like it would be a perfect spot.
I appreciate
Why
that.
are you laughing at that?
No, I mean, it just seems the Steelers seem to be really in love with Mike Tomlin, and it's going to take a lot for them to part with Mike Tomlin. But, I mean, I think what I do like about what you're saying is we're not jumping to the best offensive mind. I think that's sometimes the mistake that we often make. There are certain things in certain situations where you need to focus on hiring the right person to manage all of this. And I think that's what they need. They don't need to hire just one person offensively. Like, you can find a great offensive coordinator. If he gets hired away, you figure it out when you get along with it, or you take over play calling or whatever. I get that. But make sure you take care of the head coach, not just the quarterback.
You want your Dan Campbell, your Mike Vrabel, your Jim Harbaugh. Like, that is what you want. You want the guy that's going to be in charge of the whole program, articulate the vision and everything for the organization.
Do that.
If there aren't many of those guys.
I'm saying if you hold on to the GM, who clearly has a level of power that he's not interested in giving up, it gets really hard because those guys are not going to be like, hey, let's bring in Mike Tomlin.
It's a primetime game, and we won't come up and show out.
Eventually, something is going to break. And when Saquon Barkley has the ball in his hands, it's a good chance it's going to happen with him.
He's floating the football. It is for Devontae Smith. Touchdown!
Eagles by 10. Touchdown, Josh Jacobs. And the Packers are back in it.
64. Here it is.
And this game belongs to Philadelphia as they win it 10-7.
So not pretty, but the Eagles find a way to win again yesterday. Their first time this season as a betting underdog. Going back to last year, they're now 5-0 when not favored to win. The only team with a perfect record in that span. And of course, the game was not bereft of tush push drama. It was, after all, the Packers who sponsored the proposal to make the play illegal at the annual meetings last year. Multiple Eagles linemen got away with egregious false starts on 3rd and 1 for their first down of the game on a Jalen Hurts tush-push conversation. I've said it a million times. And I know that the fans in Philadelphia get upset because they feel like they're being singled out. I love the Eagles.
They are.
They're an unbelievably good team. They are so good in so many ways beyond this. The tush push is an abomination. They cannot officiate it. Dan, everyone is moving early.
You could officiate it. Just throw it. I mean, there's a flag. You just take it out of your pocket and you throw it on the ground.
Greeny,
That's it.
they literally missed the same ball with the Packers before that, not on a QB. So it's don't say it's one play. If we have an officiating problem, fix officiating. It has nothing to do with that play in particular. If the guy moves before the snap, call it.
No.
Whether it's a QB sneak, whether it's tush push, because the QB sneak ain't going away either. So whatever that is, learn to officiate that play because it's going to look exactly the same. Stop belly aching about the tush push. Blame it on one. They had the same call and missed it both times.
No, they've established a rule that the Eagles are allowed to do it and no one else is allowed to do it. They called it on the Packers. They don't call it on the Eagles. Yes, they call it on the second time. They can't officiate it. This is the easiest thing in the world. They have video assists now, right? Like referees change calls in 15 seconds because someone in New York calls them up and says, no, they all moved early there. Bring that one back and then do it and just call it. How are they not doing that?
Really not supposed to do that.
Yeah, you don't say that out loud. Yeah.
But put it in for this reason, if nothing else. It's so blatantly obvious.
22 of the 32 teams voted to eliminate the play last spring.
I'd like a word with the other 10.
You only need two more. And honestly, I think there's a pretty good chance they get.
Y'all going to love that inside zone play that everybody gets stuffed on. Good luck for that.
I love that the two DBs on the table are sitting there like, yeah. I would have never been involved in that play. So
Something's gone terribly wrong in my life if I'm in something like that.
Creep down and come off the edge.
giving something up.
That ain't my business. That down there ain't my business.
I'm going to help you up.
Then let's talk about something else. The Eagles offense. So we spent the beginning of this show, if you're just joining us, talking about the Packers offense. Summation of that conversation, not so good. Eagles offense, also not as good as it should be. The group seems it is lesser than the sum of its parts. It's effective. Right. They win all the time. Kind of hard to argue. But you got A.J. Brown, when they throw him that ball on that ridiculous 4th down call at the end of the game, for one brief moment you think to yourself, oh, yeah, he's on this team.
Right?
Like you've forgotten he was even on the field, Dan.
Man had to put his book down to go run this route. Look, I mean, it's awesome that the Eagles know how to find a way to do enough to win every game. You're allowed to do more than just enough to win. Like, you can do that. You can go out and light it up like they did in the Super Bowl. Like, there's something missing with this offense this year that they were able to get to last year, even while they were having their struggles, and they just don't seem to be able to get to it reliably this year.
I mean, the something is the explosive runs from Saquon. And
right.
Like, that was it wasn't that they're calling these games differently or more aggressively or less aggressively than they did last year. Like, right now, they're calling a good amount of runs to Saquon. Yeah. He's just getting 3 and 4 rather than 60. And so, like, I don't like that they approach these games as if they're the underdog all the time. Like, as if they don't have weapons. I wish they were more aggressive, but they call these games in a way that's like, all right, we're not going to give it to you. We're not going to give you a chance or our mistakes to cause us to lose. We're going to be patient, and if we have to throw it, we're going to throw it.
All right, so let me put this in perspective. The Eagles' offense could be more explosive, no doubt. I would like to see a little more of A.J. one-on-one. Let's find a way to get him quick slant, quick game, whatever you want to say. However, I understand that part. However, let's not forget, winning is the main point of what we do. And offensively, they've scored 30 3 times. They scored 20 a couple. They scored 10. That's all they needed last night with the way their defense played. So they beat They beat the Rams. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Packers last night. They beat the Vikings. Like, they've beaten everybody you want them to beat, and they find ways to win. So we can say it's not sexy, it's not as exciting, it's not whatever. But the bottom line is they find ways to win, and they continue to do that each week.
That's indisputable, right?
Yeah.
So that is actually an argument no one can counter.
Yeah.
Because ultimately winning is the objective, and they're winning.
Right.
So no one is saying it's contrary to that. But I would like to sort of flip it back to something you said at the very beginning. Do they coach like they don't trust their own quarterback?
To a certain extent, I feel like you go into a week, and you guys know this when you're game planning, and as a coaching staff, you develop a plan that you feel like for this week is going to help you win this football game. It seems as though from week to week with the Eagles, they go into games with different plans in a sense when it comes specifically to Jalen Hurts and his ability to throw the ball. They're playing the Minnesota Vikings, who on the defense attacks you, and they force you to have to get the ball down the field. That game, the Eagles came out, and Jalen Hurts had one hell of a game throwing the ball to his receiver.
330
It looked like last night the plan was we're going to line up, we're going to bring 6 offensive linemen, we're going to run the ball. So, Greeny, specifically to your question, is it a Jalen Hurts trust thing, or is it more of a game plan thing? I don't know for sure, but it's hard to figure out because last night it looked like they didn't want him to take chances.
Let me explain this. When Jim Moore was my first head coach in Indy, and they brought they ended up bringing Tony Dungy over, and Tony sat with our offense and talked about, hey, there are going to be certain games we're going to frustrate you because we're not going to do certain things that we've done that has hurt this team in the past. It's okay to punt sometimes. It's okay to play conservative style football at times. And you learn, and as an offense, I understand it is fun to air it out and do it, but with risk also comes a lot of bad things and adverse things happening. If you can win without it, and last night, let me just tell you, there were 3 or 4 runs that Saquon, that could have been 60-yard gains. They were very close. If they find that explosiveness in their game, it's they're going to repeat. So in my opinion, as you look at it, why risk yourself if you don't have to? That's really what you're saying and how really the best teams play.
Ain't that O-line? That's O-line talk 101.
It's real.
Right there.
I mean, I think the answer to your question, though, is that you won't always get the breaks. And if you do not have experience taking these chances, when you're going to need to take those chances, it's going to be a lot harder. I think I respect the game plan point, and they have been effective in this. It's really impossible to push back on the results that they've had. It doesn't look like how we like it, but you see that they're very sensitive to game script. Like the plays, as soon as they got that play from Saquon, we're going up top. This is our chance. Yeah. Like you can tell that it's a well-coached team. Sure. It's not coached in the way that all of us like, but they're well-coached.
A.J. Brown had 3 targets last night, 2 receptions, 13 yards.
That ain't it.
I mean, he's just so good.
Yeah.
You know?
I get it.
A screen or 2 early on in the game just to get him going would be nice.
Right? Like in Chicago, the first pass goes to Odunze because he didn't catch one last week.
Yeah.
Like, That's good coaching, too.
They seem not to want to do that. Look, no one can take away from them this entire. If I'm an Eagles fan, here's what I'm frustrated about. We just won a huge road game on Monday Night Football, and these dopes on Get Up just spent 8 minutes complaining about the tush push and that we don't throw the ball enough to our receivers.
Yeah.
I get it.
I get it, too.
The team is great.
Give them a single.
And they're the defending Super Bowl champs, and they may very well win the whole thing again. But these things are impossible not to notice.
We judge them on a different scale than
Right.
we do other teams. They won the Super Bowl. Like, we would expect that to happen again, or at least for it to come close. So, yeah, they don't. Right now, the offense does not look like one that's
Eagles fans, they don't want to hear us saying these bad things.
Yeah, but they're saying
the same damn thing. You know any Eagles fans, Greedy?
On the streets in New York, they say it to them. They'd be like, I like your fight, but we're going to get better? We're going to get better? That's what it is.
I get a lot of questions about what's wrong with our offense.
I'm an apologist a little bit. I got to be out there.
Let me get a quick note in on the Packers side of it again. Their loss officially opens up the NFC North for any team to win. When they obliterated the Lions opening weekend, I think we all thought, wow,
Round them.
the Packers are never going to be stopped. Look at this now. They're looking up at the Bears in the division. Wow. And they are, it's worth noting, they've only played one of their divisional games, the Packers. Yeah. So they still have 5 games against all these teams. We opened the show with Micah Parsons saying, all will be well. When push comes to shove, who's going to win that division?
I'm going Lions.
Yeah, Lions.
I'm going Lions.
I'm going to stick with the Packers. That was my preseason pick. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Thank you.
Really? Packers. That's my preseason.
Because their defense?
Oh, you guys must not have heard Dan Campbell took over play calling.
Yes, he did.
Yes, you must.
They did good.
You must have forgot.
So Angry Pete from New Jersey, our coordinating producer extraordinaire, brought up that question yesterday. Did we not talk about that enough? How big a deal is it that Dan Campbell took over the play calling in Detroit?
Well, I mean, I think it might be unfair because they went up against Washington, which is not a particularly great offense. But to be fair with what Dan Campbell did, we criticized him the week prior in that loss of not getting the ball to Gibbs and J-Mo specifically. Yeah. Dan Campbell showed up with a play sheet that had names on it, not plays. And he was like, this side and that side. Yeah, we're going to get it to these guys, and they are going to make plays in isolation.
Can I say, this to me was one of the best coaching conversations that I have heard in my time covering football. When they asked Dan Campbell about this, he talked about Ben Johnson and this happening to Ben Johnson and the way that he talked. I want it a certain way. If you're the head coach, it's your team. I want it done a certain way. And if you do it my way, we're good. You'll continue to make calls. You'll continue to do it. Let me show you what I'm trying to get done. Follow me, watch me, and then replicate what I do. If we lose, I'll live with it. Yeah. But I'm not going to lose your way. And I appreciate that because the truth is he didn't cut John Morton the way he could. He said, listen, he'll be back calling plays again, but we're going to walk this thing together. I thought from true leadership, we always talk about it, that was true leadership as a coach from Dan Campbell.
Can I just say quickly, you talked about Dan Campbell taking over the play calling and them going out there balling. Well, the result of that game is now Dan Quinn for the Commanders is taking over play calling their defense. So it just goes to show you, yes, positive on that side, but Nick, when you said it, going against the Commanders' defense,
they struggle.